What is up, everybody? Welcome to this Trainwreck Sports podcast where we are not here to play school. We are here to break down week 13 of the college football season. Jake Micah, as always, joined by my brother, Alex Micah. How are we doing on this fine November Saturday? The snow is finally hitting. We saw Thursday night. We saw Thursday night football. We saw snow, though, so we might get
but it's not. I mean, it's not hitting me. I'll say.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
I'm fine
well,
right
I just
now.
meant the world. I guess I don't know.
The world. Well, I saw all day Thursday leading up to that game was different college football pundits just tweeting out from like Notre Dame it was like freshly covered, or Wisconsin has just got some, or like it's coming to Beaver Stadium even a little bit, like whatever. It's and then everything the story, and we're gonna jump right into it talking about the most recent poll, is all these teams were like all these southern schools are projected to be coming up here right now, and this is only November that we're getting the snow. So it's funny to see. I can't wait to see if Ole Miss to come and play, and it's 10 degrees out and snowing like crazy in Notre Dame or Beaver Stadium or the Shoe.
Let's give a look at what those matchups would be if the season ended today. This was this week's college football playoff bracket, not the rankings, the brackets. Boise State getting in there right now as
tough look for BYU,
ahead of BYU after BYU loses last week. A game that I will say I called that on this podcast right here. If you'll listen to us here, you'll get some good money. I said Kansas is going to go in and beat BYU. I said I feel really good. Kansas been playing good ball. BYU's been slipping up. BYU slipped up. The Big 12's in danger. Now here's the thing. Big 12 is in danger, but if Colorado wins the Big 12, they're not. ESPN is not letting them keep Colorado out of this. Could you imagine if it's Colorado, Ohio State in the first round? Like how big of how many millions of people are watching that game? It's insane. So let's go through the whole bracket here, and then we can start breaking into it. So Oregon 1, Texas 2, Miami 3, Boise sneaking in at 4, which is just insane. They're as the fourth.
I wouldn't say sneaking in. I wouldn't say sneaking in because they've been in the ranking as that 12.
Well, I would say sneaking in because they're like 12th ranked in the country or something right now, but the 4 seed. So it's just an interesting, it's just an interesting way we're looking at it this year with this playoff. Ohio State and BYU would be in that matchup. Notre Dame, Alabama, Penn State, Georgia, which would just be insane. And then Indiana, Ole Miss. And obviously this is all going to change around this week because we have one major game. Everybody knows that. We'll be breaking it down pretty soon here, Indiana and Ohio State. That's going to decide a lot of narratives and bring up a lot of issues among fan bases going forward, because this week's been crazy. This week's been insane with the Indiana debates before the game even happens. Like if they win, you can't deny them. If they lose, then we can start having these arguments. But we're like having pre-arguments about the SEC and Indiana here. So I guess
it's ridiculous because every SEC team is 1,000 times better than any other team in the country. So even if you have 2 losses or 3 losses to any of those teams, well, they're just so good that it doesn't matter, because it matters more. Like Alabama has a loss to Vanderbilt and they have a loss to Tennessee. That doesn't matter because those teams are both really good, so they deserve to be ranked high. Or even like Missouri right now, 6-3, probably shouldn't even be ranked. But why do they still exist? Because then you can say, oh, they have a ranked win against that team. And it all works out fine. That was the whole thing I saw this week, too. It's like Penn State doesn't have a ranked win at all. They don't have a ranked win at all. Well, at the time when they played Illinois, they did. Then Illinois lost a couple of games, not ranked. Guess what? Illinois is ranked again. So now Penn State has a ranked win again. Is it miraculous? Are they that much better now because they have one ranked win? Like, I don't know. You and me in just conversation always say, you can only, you play who's in front of you. If they suck the rest of the year, that's not on you. Nope. You're just good. You can't hate on that team for beating somebody. They won the game. Why do we play these games if a win doesn't matter?
It's a great question, and that's the thing that bothers me the most is you as the SEC, all these schools, every chancellor, every president, every AD, Greg Sankey, all these people, y'all decided to create a super conference. You decided to have this competition and have a situation where you're going to have 6 teams that probably are good enough and deserving of being in a playoff spot, but you can't have 6 teams in it. And if you wanted that system, you designed it. Like Greg Sankey and Jim Delaney or whoever I don't even know what the Big Ten president is anymore. Whoever they designed this system. They are the two conferences that are in charge. They're the ones that built the superpower conferences, and they're the ones bitching that their teams are going to get left out. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, what are we doing here? That Greg Sankey tweet was insane yesterday when he's quoting strength of schedules. Yeah, sick. Georgia's played a good schedule, and they haven't won games. If they were if Georgia was, what's their record right now? They're 8-2.
8-2.
If they were 6-4 and had the number one ranked strength of schedule, would we still be saying, "Oh man, their schedule is so tough. They're clearly still one of the best teams in the country"? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? You can't. I don't care what their strength of schedule is. If you lose 3 games and there's a bunch of 2-loss and 1-loss teams, sorry, you should have won the games in front of you. Yeah, in the SEC, there's going to be years where teams have ridiculous schedules. The way it works out, it's an unbalanced league. It's an unbalanced scheduling. Hey, SEC, you only played 8 games too. You trying to avoid this even more. If you played 9 games like this, it'd be even worse for you. And that's on you guys. You decided to make the superpower conference. You could have just kept it at 14 and called it a buck. You added Texas and Oklahoma. You brought this on yourself. This is what you deserve. You reap what you sow. You don't get all these teams. And if you want it to be a Big Ten SEC Invitational, then just go do that and let all the other schools go and do a real Division I college football tournament style thing. And I will love that just as much as anything else, because this is ridiculous. And I can't do this every single year. And I always get worked up around playoff time. And with 4 teams, you understood, like, listen, someone's got to get left out. With 12, though, it seems pretty obvious who the team should be, in my opinion. Once we're getting down to it, like, there might be 1 or 2 teams that you could squabble over, but it's gonna be pretty obvious. It's gonna take people making like roundabout explanations for these teams to get in, and that's what drives me nuts. Can't we just look at like the straightforward things? Like, if Indiana is 11-1, if they lose to Ohio State in a close game, if they get blown out, I will listen to that because they've had a horrible schedule. If they're 11-1 in a Big Ten schedule, which you have all told us, the college football media, athletic directors, everything told us the Big Ten is easily the second best. It's basically a power 2. So Indiana goes through, wins 8 of 9 Big Ten games, wins the rest of their games, their schedule, but it's not good enough. What are we doing here? What are we talking about? You can't. They're talking out both sides of their mouth all the time. That's what makes me mad about it. Right.
Or it comes back to, I mean, you could even say, like, if Indiana beats Ohio State this week, and they finish and they play Purdue next week, and Purdue is obviously not good at all. They're one of the worst teams in college football, not named Kent State. Sorry.
That is the worst team.
But if they go and they go 12-0 in the regular season, then they lose to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, which is possible. It is essentially like if they make it, it is essentially a home game for them, almost though, playing at Lucas Oil.
Yeah.
But if they're 12-1, I don't doubt I could see a world where the committee is like, well, they didn't win the conference, we're not going to put them into the playoff. It's 100% possible, and it's kind of a similar situation happened a few years ago with USC, Caleb Williams, his Heisman year, so 2 years ago, when they were 11-1 in the regular season. They lost to Utah, like at Utah. It was a big game. Then Pac-12, they were in the playoff. They were at the 4 seed or the 3 seed going into the playoff. And then the conference championship games happen. They lose that game, and then they get kicked out of the playoff. And it's like, so why did that team even play for the conference championship game then? If they were in the playoff already, you thought they were a good enough team, and then they lost to the same team that they lost to before. Utah just had their number. They lost to them twice. Why is that an eliminating factor, though? Why do people even play their games then if you're just going to bounce them out? Oh, well, this week you're good enough, but because this happened, you're out. What changed that all of a sudden they're not good enough? And it's the same thing that's going to happen. It's just going to happen now. Indiana is getting their charity. Can you go back to where are they ranked right now? They're the 7.
Yeah, give me 1 second here.
7 on the bracket, right? Oh, you got okay. Yeah, they're there. Yeah, the 7 on the bracket right now. They're gone if they lose to Ohio State. They're 100% going to get it booted out, and probably, I don't know, Tennessee or probably, you know what it's going to be. Colorado wins again this week. Then they're going to just probably get slide. Everyone's going to kind of like slide up. Probably is what it's going to be.
If they lose like 23-20, I don't see how you can do that though. I just don't.
Because it's going to come down to what they're talking about, which we think is dumb. But the playoff committee has always been dumb. It's going to be like, well, they have the 100th ranked strength of schedule. And, looking at their wins, this is a record against teams in the Big Ten. They beat UCLA, who's 4-6. They beat Maryland, who's 4-6. They beat Northwestern, who's 4-6. They beat Nebraska, who's 5-5. The game they played Nebraska was 5-1 though, so they started a tailspin for them. They beat Washington, who's 6-5. They beat Michigan State, who's 4-6, and they beat Michigan, who's 5-5. The Big Ten, outside of the top 4 teams, is mid to bad.
Just all of that, exactly. And so they're playing one of the elite teams they can possibly play. If you want to get on them on their non-conference schedule, that's fine because their non-conference schedule.
Well, yeah, they play directional Illinois, Western Illinois, yeah. And they played FIU. Yeah, I mean it is a joke. That their non-conference is a joke.
Do you want to know what it is next year? Because they're not helping their case next year either. They play all 3 games at home first 3 weeks of the season. Old Dominion, Kennesaw, and Indiana State. But they have to go to Oregon and to Penn State next year and to Iowa. So they'll have those opportunities, and especially on the road next year in the Big Ten at least. But
should we keep on giving it to Iowa? I mean, I don't know. It's supposed to be a tough place to play, but I don't know. Is at Iowa it's the same thing people talk about? Oh, it's a cool environment, but it's the same way people talk about Texas A&M. Is it actually a hard place to play? It's a cool environment, but is it a hard place to play?
That's a great point.
Should we stop giving credit to Iowa, who won all these Big Ten West divisions, going 8-4 every year, because they just had to beat Wisconsin, and then guess what? You're the Big Ten West winner.
I think it's tough to play in Iowa.
I don't know. No disrespect to Iowa. They have an awesome tradition.
Sounds disrespectful.
Kinnick is a cool stadium, but is it hard to play there?
Their last 3 games, Mo, at home, they've put up 40+ points. How about that? 42 on Wisconsin, 40 on Northwestern, 40 on Washington. They
got rid of what's his name's son.
Yeah,
Kirk Ferentz's son, who was a bum.
Sometimes nepotism doesn't work.
Yeah, no.
It's tough. Yeah. All right. So let's get into this game because we're talking enough about the team at all because this is it. Just everything. We'll know everything tomorrow. Like specifically how the Big Ten's really going to shake out. We're going to know tomorrow. Now, how is Penn State still alive in this race? What way can they possibly get in the championship game?
If Ohio State how does it work? If Indiana loses, so they go to 11-1, and Penn State wins out, so they're 11-1. And if Ohio State loses to Michigan, then they'll have 2 losses. And the way it would work out is because Penn State, the 2 11-1 teams, Penn State has some tiebreaker against common opponents against Indiana, because they both played UCLA and they both played Washington, and Penn State had more decisive wins or whatever. So that's how they would get in. But you would need Ohio State to win this week, and then you would need Michigan to pull off. Is Michigan going to be 20-point underdogs in this game?
It's not out of the realm of possibility, though. You never know in that game what's going to happen.
Is Underwood coming to play this next week?
Yes. That'd be solid. It is in Ohio. It is in Columbus too. So that'd be tough.
But that's the pathway for Penn State. Obviously that's a very narrow pathway. I think more likely than not, we are on the fast track to a rematch between Oregon and Ohio State at Lucas Oil for the Big Ten Championship.
And I'll be happy with that. I would love to watch that football game.
I shouldn't discount Indiana that fast. Curtis Rourke has been playing great football all year. He's a shoo-in for the John Cornish Trophy. What is it? What's the John Cornish Trophy?
So do you really? Yeah. Talk about this. Do you think Indiana can win this game? And if they do, how do they do it? Curtis Rourke keeping it clean and playing the way he has all year is one of the things. Rourke is good. He played at Ohio, so this is going to be a really fun game, for him personally to come into Ohio State and have this moment. I think he's been awesome. He's
towards the top in the Big Ten in a lot of stuff. He is 5th in the Big Ten top for completion percentage and touchdowns, ranked 6th for yards. He only has 4 picks on the year. No, they have a ridiculous offense. They have an extremely high scoring offense that it's second in. I want to say it's second, right, in the nation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the seventh ranked defense too. They're not letting up a lot of points. Neither is Ohio State. This game is going to be low scoring, realistically. If they can cause Will Howard to turn the ball over, that's going to be the biggest thing. If they can get pressure on Will Howard, they have the leading sack guy in the Big Ten, Mikael Kamara, who's had 9.5 sacks on the season. If they can just get the pressure on Will Howard, we've seen him make mistakes already this year. I mean, the beginning of that Penn State game against Ohio State, second pass attempt of the game, he threw a pick six. And obviously he came out and he was doing a lot better. But if they're able to keep them on their toes, and Indiana showed that they can capitalize a lot more than Penn State has been able to this year, especially in the red zone, then that's how they come away and win this game. I don't know. Do I think it happens? Yeah. Probably not, to be honest. I don't think 12 or it's 11, is a good spread. I think it probably should have been like a single. I think it probably should have been like 7. I think it should be a touchdown.
Yeah.
With the possibility maybe Ohio State wins by like 8 or 9. But I think it's going to be like a 27-20 game, realistically.
I do think Indiana covers. I don't think this is a blowout. I think a lot of that is the line is just Vegas. Like they have to set it that high because if they set it at 7, everybody's taking Ohio State at home at 7. So it's been playing like it got up to like 13.5 or 14 the other day, and yesterday it dropped all the way to 10.5 yesterday at one point, and now it's settled down at 11. So the line's been moving. It jumped up. People betting Ohio State, and then everybody started hammering Indiana for those big spreads, and now it's fallen back down. I wonder what it'll be at game time tomorrow. I did not know Curtis Rourke was Canadian. It makes sense because his brother Nathan Rourke is in the CFL. So that makes a lot of sense. And I didn't know that there was an award for the
John Cornish Trophy,
Canadian college football player, the John Cornish Trophy. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's only been around like 7 years. Nathan Rourke, his brother, won it twice. Yep. Chuba Hubbard won it. John Mechie won it a couple times. And then I believe Chase Brown. Not Chase Brown. Maybe it is Chase Brown. There's another running back that won it fairly recently. I can't think of who it is. But whatever. Best player in college football that's from Canada. So I think he's a lot.
He definitely has it. He has that down pat. It's crazy. He's from Oakville, Ontario, close by to us here in Western New York, not too far. But I think that's Oakville's probably like what, from Buffalo, maybe like an hour drive. I mean, let's see, Oakville. It was Chase Brown. It was Chase Brown. It's a little past Hamilton, but it's like right before I think it's before you get into any Toronto area stuff, like before you start seeing Mississauga or anything.
It says it's an hour and 44 minutes. It's past Hamilton, past
there. Yeah.
No, that's from Buffalo. It's an hour 44 minutes.
Oh, that's from Buffalo? Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's a nice, he's kind of a local guy. Buffalo college football fan.
Yes.
Usually locked in, cheer for the local guy, Indiana against Ohio State. All right, Mo, but with Ohio State, we know how good they are. We've talked about them a bunch this year, so we don't have to dive deep into their team. We know what they're going to bring. It's really going to be. I really think this game could come down to game management and Curt Cignetti and Ryan Day. And I'm taking Curt Cignetti.
Right. Every day that's the thing. Ryan Day has been outcoached a lot of times in his tenure at Ohio State.
Yes. And this is a guy who has outcoached basically everybody his whole career and who just signed an 8-year, $64 million. And do you know what he said after he got signed? Why would I not stay? I'm at the emerging superpower in college football. He's serious. Bro is serious. And the thing about Indiana here, and why I believe that he's going to stay there and be there for a long time, and we have to start worrying about Indiana a lot, because look at where he is, like the location, and they're the losingest team in college football history. Never been good, but he said that he was interested in the role because of the commitment that they wanted to put towards it. Obviously, NAL opened up a lot for them. The alumni resources they have. Indiana is one of the most the biggest universities in the country. Obviously, the basketball alumni runs deep. They have a huge base that they can go to for this stuff, and it's fertile recruiting ground. They're right in the middle of the Midwest where they could go into Ohio, go into Michigan, go into Pennsylvania, and start taking guys that Ohio State and Penn State are going. Or
go into Wisconsin,
go into Illinois, go into Wisconsin, get all the big boys that they need to get those skill guys from like Chicago and stuff like that. Like they're in the perfect spot. It's a great college town. It's really not a hard sell if you're getting this program rolling to be like, hey, you should come here instead of Michigan or Ohio State. Like, why not come here and beat those guys? And we got everything else we can offer you. Like, there's a lot of built-in advantages at Indiana if they wanted to put the resources, which it seems like they are. And now they have the guy. Like, Signetti's just going to win wherever he goes. Like, I'm fully convinced by that. If you just know the history of the guy, like, that's just what's going to happen. And I think he's serious when he's talking about them being the superpower and him staying there for a long time, because there's no reason that they can't, with the infrastructure that they're building, be able to recruit at a high level every single year, like every year, because they're in a perfect spot. Even Kentucky, like guys in Kentucky, like things like they can just touch all these places that these Big Ten powers touch too, and just come in there and compete. And that is just getting in the living room. And you're talking to Curt Cignetti or Ryan Day or Sherrod Moore or James Franklin. Seems like Cignetti's the most electric guy out of that group. Like he's the guy that brings the most juice. I'd say Franklin's probably pretty close, but like, it just, the advantages are the gap is closing with the financial advantages that those universities have over Indiana. And he might just be far and away over all these guys at this point. Like those three guys took Cignetti as a coach, I think, from the track records. Now Franklin is a great example of a guy who's been able to build up programs too. Like what he did with Vanderbilt is not understated. What he was able to do, this Penn State team was not a superpower, a national contender.
No, it was pretty much, it was very bare bones, nothing. Obviously, what Bill O'Brien did to save the program, and then James Franklin to elevate it.
But what we learn about Cignetti here, the difference between him and Franklin, because if you just go into Ohio State and lose, then okay, Indiana, you're just going to be Penn State again. That's fine. Whatever. Yeah. Like you'll be a very good team who can't beat Ohio State and maybe not Michigan on good years either. But the narrative could completely flip tomorrow. There's like, no matter what happens, whoever wins this game, the narrative flips one way or the other. It's Indiana's a fraud or Ohio State's a fraud. Like there's really like no other way around it. And it's not fair to either team, but that's where we're at with this game.
Yeah.
Because it's the biggest game of the year at this point. I mean, you could say Oregon and Ohio State was, but it's probably going to be a rematch if Ohio State wins this game. I would say this is the biggest game because we need to learn about Indiana. Like we know
they're real. We don't know if they're real right now. That's for sure.
Exactly. And I believe that they are, but we have that's the thing with the schedule that you can actually say about them. They haven't shown it. Like they haven't proven it on the biggest stage against a team like this. Now you have your chance. They're going to be ready to go. That's the thing that I know. Cignetti's going to they're not going to be afraid of this moment, and that's what encourages me about them.
Yeah. So quick, just wanted to before you go, talking about this recruiting and the Fertile Recruiting Ground. Right now, their recruiting class is ranked 46th according to 24/7 Sports, and those top 5 players from the state of Indiana are going to Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame. So they got work to do.
They got work to do. I didn't even think about Notre Dame in there too. They have work to do.
That is going to be their biggest competition in the state because it's an established program that has a lot of money too.
But that 46 is going to bump up to like 15 once the transfers start rolling in too, because that's what he did with this team. Had 31 new transfers or something.
Right, he took a lot. Curtis Rourke was a guy from Ohio. He played in the MAC last year, and you had a lot of guys come over from James Madison with Cignetti when he left the program. So yeah, it'll be.
And here's the thing, with the portal, there are 2 major success stories. It's Indiana and it's Colorado, and everybody is like, "Oh, Colorado can't do this every year." And last year they had to they were building up foundation, and they were still a punching bag last year. And now it's like you can't deny Dion. Mm-hmm. Like he got him rolling.
That's full. I mean, and that's not even just like a 1 or 2 guys out of the portal. That's like full programs transferring from the portal, and you're like seeing this massive change, like a whole new structure. It's insane.
It's insane. And so my prediction for this game. I don't know, man. I've been going back and forth all week. I think I'm going to do it, though. I think Indiana, I think they get it done. I think it's 27-24 over the Buckeyes. I think this is the Curt Cignetti moment. I really think this game just comes down to Ryan Day is going to fold at like 2 or 3 key moments in this game where you're going to be like, what the hell are you guys doing? and Indiana's going to come out with the juice. It's going to be like one of those scenarios where you're like, Indiana, like the road team underdog in this scenario should come play tight against there. I think Ohio State's going to be the team that's tight. I think Indiana's going to be the team that's like, fuck it. What do we have to lose? Like, everybody's already down on us. We have to win this game. Otherwise, we're basically out. This is our season. This is our Super Bowl. This is our championship game. Like, let's just go throw it all out there. And I think that guy's going to get them ready for it. So I think they get it done. I really do.
We'll see. It's a big noon. It's worth it, honestly. This is the 5th game in a row that Ohio State's had to play at noon, though. I feel bad for those fans a little bit. It kind of sucks.
It's tough.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I said Ohio State 27-20.
Okay.
Or I said I'm going with Ohio State.
Okay. Well,
I think the spread is too high, but I still think Ohio State is. I think they're just a bet.
I think that's why the spread is too high. I think it's because people were going to hammer Ohio State on that spread. It feels more like
no. Like I would definitely take Indiana plus 11. But
yeah, I will be doing that myself. Let's get into the other couple big games here. I'm going to jump. Well, now let's just go chronological order because we got a good game in the 3:30 window here. BYU at Arizona State. It's basically a Big 12 eliminator. I don't know if it's essentially
it is.
Actually, it is that, but
because BYU is 6-1. And right. BYU and Colorado are both 6-1 in the Big 12 right now. Arizona State is 5-2. They get this win 6-2, and they move past BYU because they have the head-to-head.
Yeah.
So it is. It's an eliminator because if Arizona State loses, then they have no shot for the Big 12 title, but they'll have a good season still. BYU is fighting for hopes in the Big 12 and the playoff.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah. And like we were talking about earlier, if that Colorado team, people were talking about, is the Big 12 going to get left out this year? Like, is the Mountain West going to be in the Big 12 out? And that's how Boise. If Colorado wins the Big 12, they're not getting left out, bro. Like, it's not. What would the ratings? 20 million would watch Ohio State, Colorado?
I mean, probably. I mean, the
25.
I mean,
what crazy, bro. It'd be that Friday night, or maybe it'd be the Saturday night game. But I think it would be you kick it off Friday night. First playoff game, Deion, Ryan Day, and just let it go and just let's get 30 million people watching this on ABC or something.
I wouldn't want to.
I guess there are 2 games on TNT Sports, so I don't know how they'll divide those up.
What game do you think got the most viewers so far this year?
Texas and Georgia.
It did. That was 13.19 million. Yeah, probably 20 million. I would say then.
I think you get to around 20 if it's Colorado and Ohio State.
Probably 20.
Or Colorado, Oregon. Like, I guess we have to figure out who those 5 seeds. If Ohio State loses this week, they ain't going to be the 5 seed. So, I mean, Colorado and any of those teams, whoever it could be. Colorado, Notre Dame. What if it's Colorado and Notre Dame? Like, come on, bro.
That's quite a story. I'm trying to see here quick. Television for last season. The highest watched game last year, outside of the regular season game, is Ohio State, Michigan. That got 19 million.
I think Colorado, Ohio State could get 20 million for sure for a playoff game. Easy.
I mean, that would be if they got 20 million, that would be only lower than the Rose Bowl and the national championship from last year.
I think because how many people would just be tuning in for Deion?
So that's the thing. Tune in for Deion and Ohio State. Ohio State is a national brand.
Yeah, it would be such a mainstream college football game, like beyond just bowl games and whatever else. The interest in it from like NFL people too and everything. It would just be.
Oh yeah,
it would be huge. But anyways, we're talking about Colorado during the BYU Arizona State thing. I'm talking about them because I think Colorado beats either of these teams if they play them in the Big 12 title game. I think Colorado has figured it out in the second half of this year who they really are, and now those guys are just rolling, and these 2 teams don't. BYU's been playing with fire all year. We knew that they were susceptible to a game. That game against Kansas last week was not a surprise at all if you've been watching BYU play football this year, especially if you're watching that Utah game where they escaped. It was like the football gods are gonna punish you eventually. And Arizona State, like you said, like everything in front of them, they win this week, they're in the driver's seat to get into the Big 12 title game. And then their last game is at Arizona, which is tricky, rivalry game, everything else. But Arizona ain't been that good this year.
Territorial Cup, but yeah. Fun thing about this game is BYU, obviously, big Mormon university usually. Quarterback Jake Retzlaff, that's the big thing. The BYU, that's what they were saying. He's a Jewish quarterback. Arizona State's quarterback Sam Leavitt, I don't know how to pronounce his name, is LDS. He's the Church of Latter-day Saints. So going up against, a university hypothetically, he could have been. I'm sure they probably recruited him, or he wanted to go there at some point. Did. So I mean, who knows? Playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, going up by BYU.
Who do you think wins this game?
I honestly, I think BYU is just going to reel after this loss. I think Arizona State's going to win. Steve Levitt's playing really good. They have a really good running back, Cam Skattebo, who is top 5 in all these running back stats for yards and touchdowns for the Big 12. I think, and he's got 448 yards receiving. He's a really good receiving back too, coming out of the backfield. I just think BYU is going to slide. They had all this momentum all in this world. They're a top 10 team, and then looked really bad last couple of weeks. Drops that game against Kansas where, I mean, they were only 3-point favorites, and everyone was saying, they're like, take that 3. Like, it's not, there's a reason it's a 3. People knew. And now on the road, I mean, obviously on the road, but still, 3-point underdogs. I would go Arizona State. Score-wise, I don't know, these last few games they've been playing are pretty, like, low. Even with BYU not doing great on offense, the defense has kept them in it. It's not like they're getting blown out these, like, this last week. They didn't get blown out. And I mean,
benefits the higher scoring it gets, it benefits Arizona State more and more. That's for sure.
I don't want to do like 27-20 again. I'll say 31 to 20 to 28.
Okay,
I'll keep it close.
I'm with you. I think BYU is reeling. I think they're going to drop this one. I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's like 28-14 or something like that. I think it's a 2-possession win for Arizona State, especially at Arizona State. We're on a collision course for Arizona State, Colorado. I think everything's shaping up perfectly for the Buffaloes at the moment to get into that game, and then
it definitely is.
That will be must-watch TV on Conference Championship Saturday for I think it's probably the noon game again, whatever the
on the noon Saturday game. I would think so. Yeah.
But Colorado, we were just talking about that Kansas team. They are at Kansas this week. That will not be an easy game for Colorado. No. Not
what are they?
And Kansas got to be looking. Kansas is 4-6.
Colorado only 3-point favorites. Yeah,
only 3-point favorites. Kansas is trying to get to bowl eligibility. They're 4-6, so they're going to be playing, and they would love nothing more. And this game, is actually at Arrowhead Stadium. It's not yet.
That's right. That's right. So because Kansas hasn't been playing any home games at their actual stadium. Yeah. That's right.
So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see this one on Saturday with that game too. But the Big 12, big Saturday for the Big 12. We're going to know a lot more about that conference and where they fit in the playoff picture. This game coming up that we're about to talk about, as much as the Big 10 picture and the national title picture will be decided in that game, Indiana and Ohio State, the playoff picture is huge in this one. Lot going around, and we're talking about the Big 12 and Mountain West. If Army wins this game and beats Notre Dame, Army has a great case to jump ahead of any of these Big 12 teams.
They do
jump into 100%. The conversation, because this would be the biggest win of the season for any of those teams. One of the biggest wins of the season for anybody to go. It is on the road, but it's not on the road. I should put this on here right now.
Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium. It is the Shamrock Series, but West Point's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. I'm sure there's plenty of Army vets and stuff living in the New York City area that are going to come out for this game, and cadets that are going to, come in for this game. I think it's going to be more neutral site than anything else. And I don't know, man. This I sound like Tony Romo right now.
I don't know, Jake.
I don't know.
I'll do my Collins route. Now, here's a guy in Bryson Daly. He's got 21 rushing touchdowns on the year, and he's fighting for his country. I mean, what do you mean? How do you do it?
Perfect. Well done.
No, I mean, I just want Army to win. I get Army in the playoff. Honestly, like win this game, be 10-0. Are they at 10? Yeah, be 10-0. No, are they? No, yeah, because 10-0.
10-0, yeah.
Yeah,
they got Navy later on, yeah. But they're in the AAC championship game is already decided. It's going to be them in Tulane, no matter what. We know that. Everything's in front of the Black Knights here. It's I don't know, man.
Notre Dame, it's fun. It's so fun. It's a lot of fun. That's what you could say.
But you have to think of it like this team, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. And I know that was just week 2, and they've been crushing teams basically since. They haven't had a 1-possession game since then. They played Louisville. It was a 1-possession game. Every other game is a blowout the rest of the season they've had so far. It's not like the schedule's been hard. The Navy, you knew that they were gonna, didn't know it, but the way Navy's looked now the last couple of weeks makes a lot of sense that Notre Dame kind of washed them up. The A&M win is still really impressive at the beginning of the year, but yeah, they've just been blowing teams out, but it's not like it's a murderer's row of a schedule. This is a really interesting test for Notre Dame here, especially their defense with a team that's going to run the ball like Army is, right? And Army's defense, like Mo, this is the teams that are tied for second and third in points against in college football right now, and it's the team who is.
I think Army's tied for first.
Well, maybe they are, but the ESPN thing just says second right here for points against. Rushing yards, Army is first by a lot. They're last in passing yards, obviously.
That's fine.
Notre Dame is 11th in rushing yards. Like this game is the nature of how this game is going to be played is just going to allow Army to be close and kind of grind this game out. And if it's close, it's going to just get tight for Notre Dame as much as anything else, I feel like. So I don't know. It's Notre Dame is the much better team on paper. They should win this game, I think if I were betting with my head, I would just bet the Notre Dame spread and think that they're going to win by 21. But I really just want Army to go in there and stop.
This is the thing. On paper, yeah, because of the name value. But if you look at the stats, it's not that different. Riley Leonard isn't playing as a better quarterback than Bryson Daly is.
Well, you don't have 1,000 yards rushing, that's for sure.
Well, no, he doesn't have 21 touchdowns. Kanye Udo, the main running back for Army, got 856 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's better than what Jeremiah Love has on the season.
Yeah.
Right now, where is the?
And this is a team.
Jeremiah Love's got 720. He's got 12 touchdowns. But
Army has not played in a 1-possession game all year. They've won by double digits in every single game. It's a team that's dominated.
Their closest game is North Texas that they beat last week. That's their closest game.
And they let up 3 points. Yeah. like it's crazy.
That's the thing. Whatever I want to say, that defense is legit that they have. And obviously maybe you could say that's because of who they've played, but they're playing the AAC schedule. Notre Dame's played an ACC schedule against, bum teams.
Yeah, you still got to do it. And being 9-0 and dominating like this is impressive no matter what. So I'm not going to pick them. I can't do it. I'm picking Notre Dame in this game. Okay, there we go. What do you got? What's the score? What's the formula for an Army win here?
Just getting that. Ideally get the ball first, and they're going to work the entire first quarter on one drive.
That would be
because sick. We could see them do that. Last week they had. I want to get the exact time right on this drive that they had against North Texas. Because it's incredible.
Which is part of the reason this game was so low scoring.
Yes, yeah. Here's the play. Let me play-by-play. Where is this drive they had? It's their second touchdown drive, I believe. They went 21 plays, 94 yards, 13 minutes, and 54 seconds. And that's obviously, it's a North Texas team that's not obviously as good as what Notre Dame has. But if you can do that again in college football against, I don't care who your opponent is, that's insane. That's impressive.
Well, and how about a notch for Army's defense in the same game? There was a North Texas drive to start the game, 18 plays, 62 yards, forced a field goal. And then the next drive for North Texas, they went 12 plays, 80 yards, turnover on downs. Like this team they make plays when they need to too. Like the bend but don't break. It's dominating early.
Interception in there, a couple interceptions. Yeah.
Yep. So it's so what's the score prediction you got?
Oh man. 17-13.
Okay. All right.
17-13 Army.
Should I do it? Should I just jump on with you and just pick Army? I don't want to pick Notre Dame.
I mean, that's the thing. It would be so much more fun if Army wins because
10 to 7, 10 to 7 Army.
10 to 7.
10 to 7 Army. That's how it gets
Army has not beaten Notre Dame since 1958. It's time.
It's time. What's the hang on, this is the last thing I need to check. What's the weather in New York City tonight? Are we getting snow? We're getting some snow? Know. Maybe a little,
That's the thing. It's two offenses that are heavily predicated on the run, so I don't think that really matters too much.
No, but I just want it to look cool. That's what I'm thinking.
Neither of these teams are airing it out.
Let's see. It looks more like a chance of rain than snow. No, it's gonna be like 45 degrees and clear. So, but windy, very windy. So yeah, not really good. No one's gonna throw the ball. It's just gonna be teams just running the damn ball the whole time.
Running the game's gonna go. It's gonna be like 2 hours. It's gonna be just gone like that. That game's gonna be everyone running the ball.
NBC's gonna be adding an extra minute to those commercials. They're like, guys, we can't end this thing right now. What are we talking about? That'll be good for us watching AEW Full Gear, though. That'll be nice to if that game ends.
10-7. Bryson Dinwiddie has not had less than 100 yards rushing since August. I just want to put that out there.
Oh my God. Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, some other matchups today. Kentucky and Texas. I think Texas rolls here, but we just got to.
Do they cover 20 points? They haven't really. Yes. They haven't covered the last couple weeks, but
I think they cover. I think they cover this one.
Okay.
Penn State at Minnesota. This is a tricky game, Alex. I don't know. I don't know
how. If they lose this game, then it deserves to be in the playoffs. So whatever, it doesn't matter.
That's true. You're right.
They're a better team. I don't know. Minnesota. I don't know. What they're 6-4. I mean, so they're not bad. They're not bad. They can obviously win out 8-4 is a good season. But no, I Penn State comes in. They might not cover, which is going to be a knock on them because that's what they should. That's like their goal every week is obviously to win and then to cover. There's what are they? 12-point favorites?
11.5.
11.5.
Yep.
Yeah, they might not cover, but I think they'll take care of business. Abdul Carter is playing like one of the best defensive players in the country. And Tyler Warren is
a big boy.
Where is he? You say he's top 5, right?
Number 3.
Yeah, top 3.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be 3 or 2. No. Tyler Warren is playing as the best tight end in college football. Those just guys is 1-2 punch on the offense and on the defense side of the ball. It's special. Just today, Bronco Nagurski Award, Abdul Carter got named a finalist for after getting named a finalist earlier this week for the Lombardi. So I mean, he's last week was like a one-man wrecking crew against Purdue. Didn't end up with any sacks, which is just a tough beat on his part, but had like 3 tackles for loss. Was chasing guys down in the open field, making huge plays. So I think Penn State handles business.
I think so too. I do think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a close game, though. There was a mock draft on ESPN this week that had Abdul Carter going to the Jets at number 7, so that would be sad.
That would be sad. What's with the AFC East opponents drafting Penn State guys? Last year, in the first round, Olu Fashanu to the Jets and Chop Robinson to the Dolphins. Like, what the hell?
Wild.
Oh, man. Let's try to see.
So, yeah, that'll be an interesting game. I think it's going to be close. I think it comes down to, like, the last couple drives. I think it'll be, like, 24-20 Penn State. Something like that.
USC, UCLA tomorrow. 2 teams who obviously aren't having the best season, but rivalry that's always enjoyable.
And the first Big Ten version. So Alabama, Oklahoma too. Oklahoma's obviously not been great in the they're 1-5 in the SEC. Nice welcome to the SEC year for them. But this was a game that was put on this schedule to be this week to be a big deal. You know, and you never know.
A&M at Auburn 7:30. They're only 2.5-point favorites at Jordan Hare.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's somebody knows something about that. If they're only 2.5-point favorites. Is it A&M looking
scrappy, man?
A&M looking ahead to Texas?
It's true. And Auburn, they have not. They lose to Vanderbilt 17-7. They lost to Missouri 21-17. They lost to Oklahoma 27-21. They lost to Cal 21-14. When they've lost this year, besides Georgia, it's been all pretty close games. Arkansas 24-14. So Auburn's been in all these games, and they were even in that Georgia game for a little bit, if I remember correctly. I think the beginning it was like
Yeah,
I think it started
the last
slow,
couple times they played them, every first half has been pretty close, and then they
kind of 14-3 at halftime. But still,
but against Georgia at that time, that's
And they were 21.5 point underdogs, so they cover the spread.
One more, Baylor Houston, also at 7:00 rivalry, renewed. They're obviously Houston's been the Big 12 for a couple years now, but old rivalry that they have with each other.
We got to mention
at Houston.
We got to mention Iowa State and Utah too. If we were talking about that Big 12 picture, Utah playing for bowl eligibility. Iowa State only 7-point favorites in Salt Lake City, so that could be
Kyle Whittingham got some magic in him. Maybe
I'm expecting some chaos tomorrow, and I do think Colorado. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I just think the Colorado. I'm on upset watch for Colorado tomorrow. I think Kansas can get it done. Kansas.
The last game, got to say, Washington State, Oregon State playing each other. Two teams that didn't go to any conference.
Bay, and look at them now. Now they run the Pac-12, baby.
Well, until last week, when before Washington State lost, they were a top 20 team.
Yep.
And then they dropped. But no, two teams, they obviously get to play each other because they had no. This, I guess, is this technically the Pac-12 championship game or the Pac-2 championship game?
Yeah.
Between the two.
They should give them the title.
Honestly.
Yeah. So in the future, it'll be Gonzaga, Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State, Colorado State in there. So
you say Gonzaga?
Gonzaga's joining the Pac-12, yeah.
As a football team?
I believe so.
I didn't even know they had a football team. I'll be honest with you. They had the FCS?
Yeah, they will be a full future member. No, they're not. They are not. Oh no, non-football college. My bad.
You're okay, right. I was gonna say, so they're leaving the WAC though.
But they'll be in everything else, yeah.
Yeah, leaving the WAC. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a big pull for them for their basketball. Between Gonzaga and San Diego State, and honestly, Boise's been pretty good the past couple years in basketball. That'll be a solid basketball conference once they get
save it for happy hour hoops. Come on.
Hey, this is Pac-12. It's fair. It's open.
Yeah.
All right, we're in for a big Saturday today, so let's go get your whatever shopping things you got to do. Later on this morning, I'll be back on here with our Wrestling with Emotion panel for our Full Gear preview. So stay tuned for that here on the Trainwreck Sports channels. Mo, thank you for joining as always. Alex Micah, Jake Micah, bringing you college football talk. Next week, we don't know exactly what we're doing next week because it's Thanksgiving and we'll be together. So I don't know. We'll figure something out. We might do something. We might just record earlier in the week and go live on another day. We'll see what happens, but we'll get something out to you guys before rivalry weekend and everything else, and then be back to regularly scheduled programming going into conference championship week. It'll look weird there because I'll be moving the day after, so it'll probably be pretty bare in this room. It'll look kind of crazy, but we'll see. So thanks, Mo, for joining. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Batavia Downs, our presenting sponsor here, as always. Folks, enjoy this great Saturday. It's a good one. This is a good day of football here, no matter what. Not even if there's even the games that are not two ranked teams against each other, there's some really interesting matchups here. And the landscape's going to shake before the next bracket's revealed. So enjoy the day. Have a great one, folks. See ya.